Great. So as Shivani has very rightly introduced the theme, the topic for the conversation today, it's all about uh, how do we treat the people? How do we ensure that they are working in an environment and in a culture which allows them to give their best? Whatever the business we are doing, whatever the business you are in, irrespective of the industry, irrespective of the size of the business which you are managing, the people who are working with you are the real advantage for you. Uh, Whether you are a manufacturing organization or you are a service provider, doesn't make any difference. The kind of plant and machinery which you have, your competition can go and build a similar plant tomorrow. The kind of service offering which you provide in the market can be copied next day. But what they can't copy is the culture which you have in your organization, the team which you have in your organization, and most importantly, the manner in which you lead and provide direction to your team in your organization. So this evening, we will be spending some time to understand how can we work in this dimension, how can we harness the difference that makes all the difference. Right. This is pretty unprecedented time. Unthinkable has happened. We are going through a phase in our life which we have never imagined before. In fact, this is such a scenario where the entire world has been put on hold. Situation is changing every day. We are always discussing and thinking about what will happen next. Life has never been as uncertain as it is today. What is going to happen next moment? What is going to happen next day? What is going to happen next month? And what is going to happen next quarter is a question which is coming to all of our mind. And when unthinkable happens, all of us, we all human beings do take time to accept this. We follow the curve, what you call as the curve of change, which starts first with denial. Oh, it has happened in China. It will not come to India. Then comes the blame, externalizing the issue, not owning it up. The government should have done this. This organization should have done this, that. Probably the our leadership team of the organization would have managed in this manner, not owning it up, trying to put the blame on other. And in midst of every difficult situations like this, confusion does creep in. A lot of news, a lot of messages, what is being exchanged on the WhatsApp media and various other social media platform actually helps us creating more and more confusion. Let summer be here, that this virus will not be able to survive the heat of India. One temperature will increase. Once the temperature will increase, virus will vanish, and so on and so forth. So that's the normal cycle of denial, blame, and confusion, which all of us we have gone through. Things which is happening today will definitely have a mark on in each of our life. Now it is up to us whether we make this to our advantage or we allow this to impact us adversely. Only one thing which will make us sail through this tiring time is our ability to deal with such ambiguity. If you deal with such situation in an effective manner, today you will have a brighter tomorrow. Tomorrow, when the shutter will open, you will be better prepared. So use this time to prepare yourself for a better tomorrow. Genetically, we all are programmed in such a manner that whenever any kind of unexpected situation happens, unthinkable moment happens, we try to resist that change. We take time to accept this. And this is what we call as an ostrich effect, tendency to avoid that negative news, negative information. This is a scenario where there is a conflict which happens between our emotional mind and the rational mind. Rational mind tells us what can happen tomorrow, but emotional mind simply tries to deny the existence of the negativity around us. And this is where this phenomena of ostrich moment comes in. By hiding yourself, by burying your head, doesn't help you. You need to stand up and face the situation. As someone has rightly said, that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. We all know, the harbor is the safest place for the ship, but you don't make ship to keep it in the harbor. You need to take ship out in the sea. You need to go out explore the world, and this is why you make the C. And so is a human being. We have not come to this world to remain confined to a place of comfort so that we don't get an opportunity to explore what is happening outside. And that's where, when we come out of our comfort zone, what is that we encounter is what we call an uncertain moment, uncertain period. And this is where we face adverse situation. And as this is the moment where, instead of demonstrating the ostrich syndrome, one need to stand up, take charge, take control, and start bringing the things into their advantage. Uh, Effective leaders are the one who take this moment to effectively lead their team, provide them the direction, and more importantly, ensure that they develop a right kind of environment where the talent can excel in their organization. When you are in an uncertain moment, watch out that you shouldn't fall into what I call as the Kodak moment. You know, Kodak was the first one who developed the digital camera prototype long back in 1970, but they took good 21 years to bring it to the market. 1991 was the year when finally they got the camera, a digital camera into the market. By the time it was so very late, and the rest is the history. Speed is the key when you are in adverse situation. You may have a great idea, but if you will delay it, somebody else will own it, and somebody else will be the first one to take it to the market. So the first and foremost requirement to face the adverse situation is be fast. If you have got something, move with it. Don't wait for 100% perfection. And a couple of slides down, we will also spend a little more detail and deeper. We'll go deeper into it. The second piece which I want to talk about is about continuous experimentation. You know, the Wrigley, the chewing gum, what we all enjoy chewing today, they actually launched this chewing gum to entice their consumers. We were buying soap with them. And this product which they have launched has changed the history of the organization. We need to continuously look for something which can bring our organization a longer life. We need to continue experimenting with something which provide the competitive advantage and the edge over others in this kind of tiring time. And this can only be done if we are having a right kind of people in our organization, and we have a right kind of culture and right kind of environment in our organization. Think back. Do you think that Amazon has actually cannibalized their business by creating Kindle and Marketplace? Maybe not. Actually, by doing that, they ensure that this, what I call as a disruptive development, they remain relevant in the market. And these are some of the examples which say that when the adversity is being faced, how the organizations are able to respond and react to it. It all happens in the mind first. If you can think, you can achieve. And the process of thinking to achievement, how does it happen? I'm going to share a very, very simple tool around that. How can you convert a panic into a performance situation? By turning the corner. It all starts from thinking. What is that you think has a great impact on your performance? It purely depends at this point of time whether you are thinking hopeless end or endless hope. Big difference. You decide what is that you want to have. Once your thought process starts happening, align that with the complete cycle of thinking to feeling, feeling to acting. And if you are able to do that, you will be able to achieve a great performance. Thinking, not acting, doesn't give you any result. Thinking, not feeling, directly jumping to acting, you don't create that passion. And then the activity just become a task. Performance is not sustainable. Sustainable performance are those where the complete chain of thinking to feeling, feeling to acting translates into a performance zone. And the effective and the smart leaders are the one who are able to connect these three dots from thinking to feeling, feeling to acting. And once you start acting with the feeling and thinking and feeling mode, no one can beat you. You achieve unachievables. To nurture this working behavior, What you need in your organization is a robust culture. What is culture? Many things have been talked about it. This is a word which we use it day in and day out in our day-to-day working. Simply put, it is a shared way of doing things with passion. All the person in the organizations, if they are delivering their task, they are executing their responsibility, they are doing the value add in a shared way. That's the culture of the organization. It's the shared believed. You hear some stories about organizations from here and there, and basis which you create an opinion about the culture. And that's the important element about the culture. Many a scenario where you as a leadership will have a different interpretation and impression about your culture, but world, both internally as well as externally, can have a different view about it. Align your actions with the culture which you want in your organization. Delivered can't go wrong. Here is a classic case where people are discussing all in one room, having a doubt about their culture. Unless or until you start creating a shared passion, shared way of doing things, you cannot create a culture. You need to align your culture with the artifacts and the behavior of the organization. Here is the organization which talks about that we have an open culture, but you walk in there, what do you see? Closed cabin. You cannot go to see the manager without taking appointment from the executive assistant. Executive assistant will be sitting with the door locked. What kind of the open culture we have? We have an organization that talk about we are a customer centric organization, and you are trying to call, no one is picking the phone. You are lucky if someone has picked the phone and you want to talk to individual person, phone is taking 20 rings and then remain unanswered. Artifacts are not aligned to the culture. So here is the moment and opportunity for the organizations to align themselves with what is happening around us. Leaders need to play a very, very important role to ensure that organization's culture is in sync with the changes which is happening outside. Please remember, this is such a big impact in everyone's life. This will leave a mark, and we need to understand and predict what is going to happen in future, and we need to align our organizational culture what is happening around us. Better to do it now, better to do it today. Some of the elements which I thought we'll take this as a conversation point today. One of the piece which has been widely talked and discussed about it in the recent past is the remote working. Yes, this is a reality. Your culture has to align and accept the remote working scenario. Suddenly, the entire world has moved from office working to remote working scenario. How are you preparing for it? How are you gearing up for it? If you actually look into the history, work from home is not a new phenomenon. So 1979 is when IBM first experimented by allowing 5 people to work from home. And by 1983, there were about 2,000 people from IBM who have started working remotely. 1979 was also a year where Washington Post actually published a big article talking about work from home can help us save gasoline. So this is not something which we are hearing it for the first time. This was there in existence for some time. 1983, when the internet was born, it has further added support to the work from home phenomena. 1991, with the birth of Wi-Fi, the remote working has gone to the next level. In fact, the place where I'm sitting and I just raised my head, I see the office of JCPenney in Bangalore. By mid-80s, JCPenney, they allowed their call center employees to work from home. This is nothing new, right? What COVID has done, it has created a tipping point in the remote working. Some of the data which I am sharing with you here is from a survey which was conducted just before the COVID outbreak, where the 64% of today's professionals, they were comfortable working from anywhere. And very interestingly, a survey by Global Workforce suggests that 37% of remote working employees, they were able to continue working even with a pay cut. People feel that they are more productive when they have a working from home because they feel lesser distracted, they save time in their travel, and it also allows them to minimize their exposure or involvement in office politics. So that's a big reality which is knocking at our door. Just about everyone wants to work from home is what I have said. Create the infrastructure to support this. What has happened in more so in the context of India here, suddenly the people have moved from office to the work without having the right kind of infrastructure support. Many of our colleagues working from there doesn't have the right kind of net connectivity. They don't have right kind of tools to work from there. And mind you, India will live in a small house with a large family. You really struggle to find that a little quiet corner where you can sit and work. Organization's culture has to start acknowledging it. Organization culture has to start appreciating the challenges which people are facing when they are working from home, and how organization can uh, help them support is a very, very important element here. Please remember, when you have a remote working scenario, the team is no longer working together. You don't have the water cooler break. You don't have the lunch gossip. How do you keep the emotional connect alive in this scenario of remote working is very important element to keep in the consideration. So the next piece which I want to talk about is the digital touch. Very important that organization has to create a culture of digital touch. There are many organizations who are leveraging it quite well. The available tools which are there in the market, and there are many, they are not only ensuring that the team is connected during this period of social distancing, but they are using this platform to conduct their daily check-in, checkouts, business planning meeting, business review meeting with a far better attendance than what it used to happen in the past. I know many of my clients with whom we work, they have got back to us saying that they have been able to reach out to the customer far more frequently during this period with the help of the digital platform. And that's the reality. That's the reality. There are organizations who are actually leveraging this digital platform to enhance the connect with the employees by virtue of conducting various activities, jamming session, uh, health fitness challenge, uh, music session, happy hours, antrakshri, many things. All is being made possible because organizations are now leveraging this digital touch. Even at the personal level, many of us during this period have attended various Zoom calls, hangouts to connect with our old friends from school days, college days, colleagues from the previous organization, which probably for many of us, we were not in touch with each other for last so many years. So that's the phenomena which is happening outside the world. This digital technology is actually helping us enhance the human touch. And I believe that both will coexist. And hence it is important that your organizational culture is acknowledging this element. The importance of technology to ensure that people are connected. Once the shutter will open, the situation could be very different from what it was there. Many of the things which were accepted as a normal will be challenged tomorrow. And it is important that we organize our work as per design. There will be a shift in the contractual obligation. Attendance and hours at work will probably give way to output metrics. People will start measuring more onto the contributions and the value which is being added. The manager's role will change. The interesting thing about manager is the role of manager actually came out when we had the industrial revolution happening, and when suddenly the large group of people started coming together and working under one roof, and you needed somebody who will help, who will manage them. What is happening today when there is a remote working happening? You are not managing your team minute by minute, hour by hour. Any which way, it was not a healthy sign. You have hired an adult. You have hired a person whom you have found competent for the role. Now, if you have hired a person competent for the role, why do you need to manage their activities? Shift your focus from managing the activities to managing the output. And this is something where the manager's role will undergo also a big change. What is also happening in this period is very, very important to understand. A lot of people's job is getting impacted. In fact, ever since the COVID-19 outbreak in US, about 17 million people have gone and approached the government for jobless aid. The international level organization, ILO, has forecasted a far bigger and far richer impact on the workforce during this period. The unemployment rate, even in India, is at all-time high. All this will give rise to a gig workforce. You have a job, you need a skill set. This skill set will be available there in the market. Instead of having a full-time employment, you can engage with them on the output-based engagement, value addition-based engagement. This will give you higher productivity at a lower cost. Why at a lower cost? Because if you need them for 2 months, 3 months, or 4 months, you engage them for those smaller period rather than hiring them for the full 12 months of time cycle. Reach out to these kind of skill set which will be available in the market. Tomorrow, when you will open your shutter, you will also have a big pressure to manage your cost, like the way I'm having and many other like us are having. This could be a very smart way to reach out to the right kind of skill set, which otherwise would not have been made possible, and at a much lower cost. What it will do, it will help us, increase the speed of execution. Speed is going to play a big role. And this is where the fourth culture alignment, which I am going to talk about it, is adopt the acceleration. If you don't want the Kodak moment in your life, if you want to be relevant in your industry where you are playing, if you want to be relevant in today's world, you need to adopt the acceleration. And at 3 levels: yourself, your team, and your company. Don't become the bottleneck of the process. If you go back and look into the history of Kodak, there were few people who actually became the bottleneck because they wanted research after research, thesis after thesis, before deciding whether to go out in the market with such a wonderful product or not. And look what, they took 21 years and they are not relevant now. Adopt the acceleration both at your level, team level, organization level. Speed is going to be the essence here. The agility with which you will respond and react to the requirement will decide what will be your future tomorrow. I personally believe that this adoption of acceleration in your cultural element will be the differentiator. There are various conversations which is happening all around the world that this recession will have V curve, U curve, W curve, L curve, various curve. If you are adopting the acceleration, you will have a faster recovery curve, irrespective of what is happening at the outside. Formulate your objective, create a concrete plan. Plan what will you do in this quarter, what will you do in this year, and what will you do in the long term. Divide it nicely. It is good to prepare for tomorrow, but you also need to pass through this difficult time. And you cannot be sitting idle. Wait and watch will not work. It's like, I remember someone saying about it. It's like trying to compete against your breathing. You want to check, if I stop breathing, what will happen? If you win, you will die. So this is the moment to act. Take responsibility of your decision and start turning the table. Take this moment to continuously learn new things. World is changing. The skill set which was relevant yesterday may not be relevant tomorrow. Or the skill set which will require tomorrow can be easily available in this gig economy at a much lower cost, at a much higher skill set. That's very, very important. Make continuous learning hardwire in your system. For all the leaders on the call here, mind it, people are looking at you. Lead it from front. and lead efficiently. That's the 4 culture alignment piece which I'm talking about it here. Prepare your organization to accept the reality of remote working. Understand that technology has far more a bigger role and deeper role to play. The work design will change. Use it for your advantage and adopt the acceleration. And this is where the leadership has to play a very, very important role. Whatever the culture you create in the organization, remember the Dilbert? The people, the organization, they experience the culture through their leaders. Individual conversation. If required, flex your style. If you have never done it before, do it now. Reach out to your team, talk to them. Nowadays, a lot of people are staying alone, working away from their home. And in this moment, they don't have anybody to talk to. Be that person to listen to your team member, talk to them, engage them, and provide them the direction. Take this moment to recognize the contribution and success. Feeling recognized and appreciated is very important and bizarre. And the recognition can be various things. Don't forget to acknowledge work anniversary which has fallen into this period. Whatever big or small, you must celebrate that as a big. I know we can't go out. Create a small team meeting. Get everybody here. Acknowledge the person in presence of the team. It will have a far bigger and a better impact than what we are visualizing here. Symbolic act, very important. Our intended and both unintended part, very, very challenging. You need to align your act to connect with the people. People need to know that company and the leader, they are thinking about them at this time. And more importantly, how much the company and how much the leader are valuing the contribution which is being made by the team. Last but not the least here, I am saying ensure the continuity in the management routine. Elevate the impact of routine. And this is where I want to share power of 69. What is 69 here? 69 are the touch time which the manager or a leader has with their team member in the year. You have 52 weekly meetings. You have 12 monthly reviews. You have 4 quarterly conversation. And of course, 1 annual conversation, 52 plus 12 plus 4 plus 1, 69. Unleash the power of 69 to reach out to people, to connect with them, to make them feel special during this period. Couple of these practical tips, if we as a leader do during this period, we will elevate the morale of the team. We will build a culture what we want to build, and that will give us the advantage in the days to come. Let's make a difference. It's all up to us. Unthinkable will happen. It has happened in the past. It has happened now. Again, it will happen tomorrow. Get a high out of it. Prepare yourself so that you are able to, what is the term somebody has used it very nicely called anti-fragile. Anti-fragile are the one who actually thrives in the adversity. You cannot have that anti-fragile approach every time in your life, but here is the moment to get high out of it. Take charge and take control of it. Start thinking, feeling, acting like a performer. You will convert the moment of panic to a performance. And the good thing about the culture, whether you manage or not, you have one. You have people working with you, people outside your workplace. They have an interpretation and view about your culture. So manage it well. Align that with the challenges and the reality which is happening outside the world. Be decisive. Leaders need to be decisive at this point of time. Own your decision. Create a culture where people can flourish. They can do the experimentation. lead with compassion. Here is a time when people are only getting to hear bad news. Demonstrate your compassion, and you should act in such a manner that you must attract trust from your stakeholder, your team, your client, the people with whom you are interacting with. And this is how you can make the difference. Before I end, this is not my quote, but I think this is very, very appropriate here. To win in the marketplace, it is very, very important that you first win in the workplace. And with this, I take a pause here. Stay healthy, stay safe. More than happy to take questions, address any thoughts, and at the same time learn from you all what you have to share as some of your comments and some of your views here.